when he comes over here, doesn't it? When Harry comes over here, everybody goes, right, well, he's only 3.5 miles away from this one and that one and that one, but they're not meeting up.
It's tantalising. It was 7 miles apart.
Was it indeed?
You need to know.
Right.
And obviously everyone's got into a big state about how close this is and how tantalising, and they could have seen each other.
January 2026 rolled in, and suddenly those old photos people had whispered about were back on every feed again. Meghan Markle was spotted at the same high-profile spots, Soho House gatherings, Paris Fashion Week, and other elite events, and one familiar face kept appearing right beside her, Marcus Anderson. Marcus isn't just a random friend in the background. In elite circles, he's known as someone who understands how access works, who gets invited, who gets inside, and how exclusive spaces stay exclusive. And in photo after photo, when Meghan appeared at those events, Marcus was there too. That's when people started asking a question that once felt untouchable. What exactly is the connection between Meghan Markle and the man who introduced her to Prince Harry? Here's what stands out. Public images rarely show Meghan attending Soho House events solo. Marcus Anderson is almost always part of the frame. Observers began noticing the consistency, not jumping to conclusions, just pointing out the pattern. Marcus has long been associated with membership culture and curated guest lists. He's been present at major social moments tied to Meghan's rise in public life. Meanwhile, Soho House founder Nick Jones built a brand around privacy and discretion in those spaces. Now, the focus isn't about rumor, it's about visibility. Meghan has spoken openly about valuing privacy, yet these appearances show her moving comfortably within powerful circles. For many watching, it raises questions about influence, timing, and how the same names keep crossing paths again and again. So let's pause and break down what Soho House actually is. It's a private membership network with locations in London, New York, Toronto, Los Angeles, and more. You don't just buy a ticket in. Membership usually requires referrals, review, and approval from leadership. It's designed to be selective by choice. Marcus Anderson built his career inside that system. Over time, he became a well-connected executive trusted with membership experience and high-level relationships. At the same time, founder Nick Jones, who launched Soho House in 1995, expanded it into a global lifestyle brand by keeping tight control over who gets access. Jones has publicly said that high media exposure can sometimes work against applicants. Some well-known celebrities have reportedly not been approved because of that factor. That's why observers have wondered how Meghan earlier in her career appeared so consistently within those circles. Many point to one simple factor: friendship.
So for Harry himself, he's now, in many people are suggesting, trapped. And as his mother famously said in that line, it's difficult because there's 3 of us in this marriage. History, truly, according to that source, is repeating itself. Harry is very much sort of whatever is suggested, he has to go along with it.
So the whole time we're thinking that that's her husband, Jack Brooksbank. Mm-hmm. It turns out, guess who that mystery man was the whole time?
Was it Meghan's guy?
It was Marcus Anderson.
Marcus Anderson, yeah.
Why is she having dinner with Marcus Anderson, and why is he then going home with Meghan and Harry?
Actually attended the garden party and overheard something Meghan said to Harry. So after about 15 minutes talking to guests and being charming, Meghan turned to Harry, and I quote from Lady C's book, "Harry, this is really boring."
Hey, Queenie said it best. It's downright bizarre that a man, gay or straight, constantly clings to a family like Marcus Anderson does with Harry, Meghan, and their kids. He is like a parasite, always lurking in their shadow.
Meghan developed a close connection with someone who understood the membership structure firsthand. From there, opportunities expanded, networks grew, and her presence inside those spaces became more visible. Photos from late 2014 show Meghan and Marcus standing close, relaxed, familiar, comfortable in a way that sparked conversation online. Not accusations, just questions. That's why the images keep resurfacing, not because of wild rumors, but because timing and access always get attention. Then June 2016, a Toronto gala. Just weeks before Meghan was publicly linked to Prince Harry. Marcus appears in a sharp blue tux, Meghan in a sleek black dress, and his arm is around her waist. The pose looks close and confident, not distant or formal. Observers pointed out the timing more than anything. According to the public timeline, this was shortly before her introduction to Harry. That overlap is what keeps people talking. Fast forward to September 2017 at the Invictus Games in Toronto. Meghan is seated beside Marcus in the arena. One widely shared photo shows her smiling toward him while Harry looks away in that split second. It's not proof of anything. It's just a moment frozen in time that fueled debate across social media. Then October 2025, Paris Fashion Week. The image that exploded online. Meghan and Marcus walking through Paris holding hands, not a group shot, not linked arms. A clear hand-in-hand moment. Social media reacted instantly. Comment sections lit up with one repeated question: where was Harry at that time? June 2025 sparked another wave of online chatter during a family Disneyland trip. Marcus appeared in group photos, but in one social media post, his face was covered with a heart emoji. That small detail caught attention fast. People started asking if he's simply a longtime friend, why blur him out at all? Longtime observers also point to something else. Meghan has rarely been photographed alone at Soho House locations. She's usually seen with Marcus Anderson, Misha Nonu, or Prince Harry. Online discussions often mention a common membership guideline. Guests are expected to remain with the member who invited them. If that rule applied at the time, it could suggest Meghan initially attended as someone's guest rather than as an independent member. That possibility shifts how some people interpret those early appearances.
You know, worth it. Remember?
I'm a real mom.
But you know what it got me thinking about? Meghan and Harry's travel safe obsession. Now, of course, we should all travel safe. That's a relatively normal thing to say, no big deal. Not trying to make mountains out of molehills or anything like that. Not like the Meg does.
What now would seem to be a very reasonable position of not believing a word coming out of Meghan Markle's mouth about my royal family. Now, most people now agree with me about the veracity of what comes out of her mouth. But at the time, this was deemed so controversial that my company, rather than defending my right to free speech, the network said, you've either apologize for disbelieving her or you have to leave.
And Meghan Markle's best friend, who set her up with Prince Harry, has vanished. Whatever happened to Meghan's best friend, Marcus Anderson? The tall, handsome Canadian was third wheel in the early days of her romance with Prince Harry, and he was front and center at their 2018 wedding.
Nick Jones stepped down as CEO in November 2022 following a health diagnosis, though he remained connected to the brand's creative direction and membership culture. Insiders frequently describe Soho House as more than a social club. It's viewed as a curated networking space where business, media, and influence intersect away from heavy publicity. One location that keeps getting mentioned is Babington House, the private countryside property in Somerset. Reports have stated that early meetings between Harry and Meghan took place there. Several accounts suggest Marcus helped coordinate logistics and privacy. That's not presented as scandal, just as structured event planning within elite circles. Royal biographer Katie Nicholl has written that in July 2016, Harry asked Marcus directly to help arrange an introduction at Soho House, London. The setting was described as intimate and controlled, with only a few people present. What stands out to observers is that Harry reportedly approached Marcus specifically, someone who knew both the venues and Meghan personally. From that point forward, Marcus was said to assist with arranging private environments and smooth coordination. Some describe that role as a behind-the-scenes connector, someone who understands timing and discretion. Looking at the bigger picture, during her years on the television series Suits, Meghan was a working actress building her profile, but she wasn't yet operating at a global level. She had ambition and momentum, yet limited access to certain elite circles. After forming a friendship with Marcus Anderson, her visibility within international social networks noticeably expanded. Invitations increased, travel widened.
I got this direct message from Meghan Markle.
A private message?
Yeah. And it said, hey, I'm a big fan, and I'm so excited you're following me. And this is
She said to you?
This was about 3 years ago. And I replied, and we corresponded quite regularly on Twitter.
When the song come on, let me see you get gone. Baby mama, this shot song been pregnant for way too long. I tell the DJ turn it off.
If she a baby mama,
Go ahead.
she gon' do that baby mama.
Work.
She gon' put it on.
It's possible that they just really want a private existence for their kids. And while I've always thought that Meghan potentially was not actually pregnant, I had initially believed that the child was real.
I don't know if a meeting is definitely going to take place. We do know that Duke of Sussex is very keen to see his father. I think the key issue is that if any details of this meeting, should it go ahead, are leaked to the media, that could compromise a reconciliation, because what I'm told is at the heart of all of this.
Appearances across Toronto, London, Los Angeles, and Europe became more frequent. That shift reflects how professional networks function at high levels. Connections matter, introductions matter, and access often grows through trusted relationships. That's why these patterns keep resurfacing, not as accusations, but as ongoing questions about influence, access, and how one connection can shift a life quickly. Many observers say it goes beyond casual friendship. What stands out to them is the coordination, the consistency, and the timing. The question people repeat isn't wild gossip. It's basic curiosity. What made this connection so impactful? Look at the public trajectory. A working actress on the series Suits becomes a regular presence at Soho House. That presence expands into elite spaces. Through overlapping networks, she meets Prince Harry. Then comes a royal engagement, a global wedding, and entry into one of the most historic families in the world. Online commentators don't describe that as simple luck. They describe it as smart networking, supported by someone who understood exclusive systems from the inside. Years after the 2018 royal wedding, and after stepping back from royal duties, Marcus Anderson still appears in key moments. He attended the royal wedding. He was present at the 2019 New York baby shower. He appeared again during Paris Fashion Week in October 2025 and during the June 2025 Disneyland trip. That consistency hasn't gone unnoticed. Some commentators have even referred to Marcus as one of the most influential figures in Meghan's circle outside her marriage. That description alone sparked debate. Ahead of extended relatives, ahead of longtime friends. It made people pause. Sources close to the couple have suggested Marcus prefers privacy. He wasn't featured in the Netflix docuseries, and in at least one social media post, his face was covered. Supporters say that reflects personal boundaries. Critics ask a different question. If the friendship is straightforward, why minimize visibility? Secrecy doesn't equal wrongdoing, but repeated discretion does invite speculation, especially when the same individual appears at major milestones again and again. People often revisit the September 2017 Invictus Games photos. In one widely shared image, Meghan appears smiling toward Marcus, while Harry looks away in that captured second. No claims. Just a still frame that viewers interpreted in different ways. Some reports over the years have suggested that adjusting to overlapping friendships inside royal life could be complex. Marcus introduced Meghan and Harry. He reportedly helped facilitate early meetings. He had been part of Meghan's world before Harry entered it. That creates a layered dynamic. At the same time, Harry publicly stepped back from royal duties, creating distance from parts of his family and reshaping his path. Any discussion about loyalty, influence, or inner circle access naturally draws attention because of what was at stake. In the end, observers see a complicated network of friendships, timing, and access.
Joking, this is very important. Now, the Rwanda scheme, it seems, was cruelly abandoned. We know it was impetuously axed by this funny little man who's our Prime Minister on day one. It's just a gimmick, it's a gimmick. And he axed it on day one.
Meghan Markle's best friend vanishes from Inner Circle amid Netflix struggles. Meghan Markle is reportedly facing a reshuffle in her Inner Circle as her new Netflix show With Love Meghan, which was launched earlier this month, faced mixed reactions. So how many times have we heard Meghan Markle having a best friend? You know, we've had Jessica Mulroney, Serena Williams. I mean, so every time Meghan has a friend, they're a best friend.
This picture, and I see that it's 2014, and Ben goes, had such a fun night with this wonderful lady, Meghan Markle, last night. Thanks, Marcus Anderson.
Whether viewed as strategy, support, or simple loyalty, one thing is clear: the connection continues to spark conversation years later. Now connect the dots on what Soho House actually offered. It wasn't just stylish lounges and private dinners. It was proximity to wealth, influence, and people who quietly shape industries behind closed doors. Through that network came introductions to investors, fashion insiders, stylists, and high-level creatives. Overlapping social circles included names like Misha Nonu, Jessica Mulroney, and Serena Williams. Those connections didn't appear out of thin air. They moved through the same curated spaces tied to Soho House culture. Observers say that environment helped Meghan transition from a working television actress into someone comfortable navigating elite rooms. That's the real currency: access. Marcus Anderson operated inside that system for years. He understood guest lists, privacy expectations, and how introductions happen smoothly. Many commentators agree Meghan used those opportunities effectively. The open question some still raise is what sustained such a long-term alignment of time, trust, and visibility. That's why late 2025 photos sparked attention. They didn't show a faded friendship from years ago. They showed continuity, long after the wedding, long after stepping back from royal duties. Marcus remained present. For some viewers, that consistency invites curiosity about loyalty, influence, and long-standing professional ties. A few critics speculate about long-term strategy. Others reject that entirely and see long-term friendship. The public timeline fuels both sides. Access to elite social networks expands. An introduction to Prince Harry follows. A royal marriage brings global visibility. Royal life ends, yet international influence remains, and Marcus is still in the frame. For many watching, that detail stands out clearly. Some argue the network itself held significant value. Connections, introductions, creative partnerships. Those elements existed independently of royal titles. Supporters say that's simply how modern influence works. Critics question whether the network mattered more than the institution. The interpretation depends on perspective. Fast forward to California. Meghan is building new projects, media ventures, and a fresh public image. Marcus continues appearing at select moments. That pattern keeps conversation alive, not rumors, but observation. Nick Jones, founder of Soho House, attended Harry and Meghan's 2018 wedding. Since then, he has rarely spoken publicly about Meghan's years within the membership community. No extended interviews, no detailed recollections, just discretion. And discretion is central to the Soho House brand. The promise has always been privacy. If conversations from private rooms spilled into headlines, trust in that entire ecosystem would weaken fast. So leadership stays measured. Relationships remain intact. Public silence continues. In the end, what people are really examining isn't scandal. It's structure, how influence flows, how introductions matter, how one well-placed connection can ripple outward for years. Whether viewed as smart networking, loyal friendship, or something more strategic, one fact remains. Those connections never fully disappeared, and that's why the discussion refuses to fade. Many believe he understands exactly who attended those gatherings, who met whom, and how those private rooms operated as powerful networking spaces. But knowing doesn't mean speaking. In elite circles, silence can be intentional. Here's what people still debate. Why is Marcus Anderson consistently present years after his original introduction role? He isn't publicly listed as a business partner or formal advisor, yet he appears at fashion events, private trips, and milestone moments. Observers point out what they see as a contrast. If the friendship is completely ordinary, why limit public mentions? Why crop or blur photos? Why keep visibility selective? Supporters argue it's about privacy. Critics argue that discretion invites more curiosity. Both sides agree on one thing: the consistency stands out. Some commentators suggest Marcus holds shared history from those early Toronto years and Soho House connections. Being present at foundational moments naturally creates long-term loyalty. That doesn't imply control or secrecy. It reflects history and trust built over time. The reason these photos keep resurfacing is simple. The visuals and the public explanations don't always align neatly in people's minds. Hand-holding in Paris, appearances at family outings, invitations to milestone events, different cities, different chapters, same familiar figure nearby. Transparency can calm speculation. Silence can extend it. That's the tension observers keep discussing. Some critics frame the entire journey as strategy meeting opportunity. Others strongly disagree and view it as friendship within overlapping professional circles. What remains undeniable is a decade-long connection that hasn't faded. The private details of those early networking years may never be fully public, but the timelines remain, the photos remain, and so do the questions. If you found this breakdown interesting, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. I'll see you in the next one.